Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about game collecting and in particular my game collection. Now, for quite a long time I've been umming and ahhing over what sort of changes to make to my collection because unfortunately I've not really been able to grow it as much as I'd like, and there are certain games that I'm after, or was after should I say, that command a certain price that I'm just not really wanting to pay, because as the frustrating thing is the fact that with a game collection, and especially as I've got older, there's less time for me to actually play games. So although it's nice to get those games, the fact that sometimes they might be sat on my shelf for 6 months, maybe even longer, before I actually play them, to me seems stupid to keep buying them. And in fact, several years ago I went through a phase of buying almost anything and everything, and in the end I was like, what am I doing? Let's get rid of all this stuff and start again, sort of thing. So I started again a few years ago, and I was literally about a week before I'm recording this, I was literally just looking at my collection and I was kind of sick of it. It wasn't necessarily that I dislike collecting games. I think what it is like I said, when you balance it on a case of continuing to collect games versus just playing games, and in that sense I mean emulating them, I think I would rather go down the route of an emulation system. And I'm not talking about PC emulation, I'm talking like a RetroPie style thing, because I don't really know a lot about emulation. So I know there are options out there where you can essentially pay for someone to do it for you. I know it probably costs more doing it that way, but to me it's convenient doing it that way. So essentially what I'm thinking about doing is I've already started the process of getting rid of quite a bit of my collection already, and I'm happier for doing it. I probably a few years ago, if I tried to do this, I think I would have struggled to get over the sort of feeling of guilt of getting rid of the games, but as I've got older, I don't really have that guilt anymore of selling games on, even if it's games that I really, really enjoy and I know that I'd like to keep, but at the same time I'm like, the next time I play it is probably going to be a year from now, and do I really need to play it on the original system to still get some fun out of it? The answer for me is not anymore. There are a couple of retro-based systems that I do want to stick to. The N64, which is my favourite retro console, is definitely one that I'm keeping hold of, along with the games that I've got so far. And the other one at the moment seems to be the Sega Dreamcast, because, well, last Sega console, so again, holds big memories for me. And it's just one of those things where I think I've got to the point now where I'm like, I just want to focus on a couple of retro systems and just stick to those, really. Both the Dreamcast and the N64 mean a lot to me, so as much as I love the Super Nintendo and I love the Mega Drive and other consoles like that, it's just a case of tuning now what I'm collecting. So I actively want to collect for the N64 and the Sega Dreamcast. That's what I actively want to collect for. I've picked up various Super Nintendo games or Mega Drive games throughout the years, but I just don't really have the same sort of, at least now, I don't really have the same sort of drive or sort of passion for those consoles. Even though, like, the Super Nintendo, my first Nintendo console, never had the NES as a kid, so again, it is one that means something to me, but it just doesn't have the same impact for me as the N64 did. I think because it hit me at a little bit older, I I think I appreciated it a little bit more, the N64, than I did the Super Nintendo. I don't know. Basically, that's what I've decided to do. I've decided to drastically overhaul my collection because, like I say, it's more about playing the games than owning each individual one as an original thing. And like I say, I would rather just have a RetroPie system that has all the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive and all those sort of 16-bit, 8-bit games and everything like that on it for just one price, rather than having to fork out 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and in some cases over £100 on an individual retro game. To me, it doesn't really make sense. Like I said earlier, I don't get as much time to play games as I would like, and because of that, there's really very little drive for me to continue to keep buying for tons of retro systems. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. In terms of like what I'm currently playing, I'm actually really enjoying the PS4 stuff. I've picked up probably about 6 or 7 PS4 games in the last couple of months. Some of them have only just started. In fact, I think crazily, I've got about 7 or 8 PS4 games I need to complete. It's absolutely crazy, but I'm really enjoying the PS4. It's kind of got me back into playing the games, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what else is coming out on the PS4, as well as other next-gen systems as well. But PS4 is just the one I'm personally enjoying the most at the minute. So yeah, just to give you an example of what I've got rid of, I've already got rid of NES games. I never had a massive amount of them because they're not easy to come across, at least in the UK anyway. And they always command a premium price unless they're like Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, which is like the most common game around. So yeah, I got rid of my NES stuff. I've got rid of... What else have I got rid of? PS2 games, they're gone. Original Xbox games, they're gone. Even though, admittedly now, I should have held on to a couple of them because Microsoft's announced backwards compatibility for the original Xbox games. So yeah, maybe should have held on to a couple of them. In fact, I have held on to one original Xbox game, and that's Shenmue 2, because I don't have Shenmue 2 on the Dreamcast at the minute. So that's one that I hope to add to the collection at a later date, but it's, of course, a big in-demand game, so yeah. So, yeah, lots of changes with the game collection. In terms of what I've got left, like I said, I've got PS4, Xbox 360, PS3, the Dreamcast, as I mentioned, N64, and I also have, because it was my first, and I say this in quotations, portable console, the Sega Game Gear. I have a Sega Game Gear, although it's one of those ones that's got that issue with the capacitors, so the sound and the picture's not quite right, but I hope to get a better one at a later date. So that's pretty much what I'm sticking with from now on. And yeah, I don't feel bad about doing it at all. Like I said, I would have done in the past if I'd have done this. I remember countless times as a kid where I would ask my mum if I could trade in a game or something like that to get something else, and I'd instantly feel guilty about doing it. So yeah, I'm much happier about my collection. It's a hell of a lot smaller, admittedly. I've got rid of so much stuff in probably the last few weeks, but also probably the last year. It's dramatically decreased. But at the same time, I now think I have a clear focus of where I want my collection to go. And also, more importantly, like I've said over and over again, what I actually want to play. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Very long one, but I wanted to talk about that because it's something that's, like I say, it's kind of in the last sort of week or so I've made this dramatic change with my collection. I'm just wondering, actually, before I go, actually, How are you guys feeling about your collections at the minute? Like, do you think you're going in the right direction with it? Do you feel like you're missing certain things, or what are your sort of general thoughts are about your collection? I'd be really interested to hear that in the comments below. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. This has been the Gabriel Sin, and I will catch you next time.